3, 2, 1, action. Yo, that was like so close.
Today we're doing some shots at Tai Long, which is a mixed martial arts gym. We're also showing off the GVM 1200 new light that they sent Renee. And we're doing 3 big setups today. 2 setups taking place at the punching bags, and then 1 setup that we're in right now taking place in the boxing ring. And we're doing a black and white style shoot. Very 1970s Raging Bull inspired, a lot of velocity, a lot of wide angles, a lot of hard light. So we're seeing how to play with daylight in tandem with these powerful sources like the 1200. We got a bunch of guys that are getting sweaty and throwing shots all day.
Today we're going to be talking about my favorite subject, and that's lighting. If you're new to the channel, my name is Renee Arsene. I'm a Montreal-based filmmaker and cinematographer, and I'm gonna take you behind the scenes on how I shot my recent sport commercial. Now, a quick thing before we get started, this video is sponsored by GVM. A big shout out to them to making this project possible. I was gearing up to shoot this sports commercial. Now, I was facing a little bit of an issue. The location that we had chosen was completely surrounded by windows. Because this was a much lower budget project, it was a bit difficult to find the perfect shooting space. Seeing how the location was surrounded by windows and had sunlight throughout the entire day, I knew that I needed a really big light in order to lift the inside of the gym so that the windows weren't completely blown out. That's actually when GVM had reached out a few weeks ago and asked if I was interested in testing out their new 1200B AIO. So this collaboration came at the perfect opportunity, and I was able to use it on this project.
How's it going with the setup, man?
Learning, first day at the job.
First day on.
I got some insurance.
Know what I'm doing.
Exactly. Got the insurance, it's all good.
It's okay, that's why we're here, man.
Exactly.
And then it fits pretty nicely. Oh, a little bit too much on your side there.
Then you lift up.
And here's what I'm saying. Nice, right?
Very nice.
And then you have your light, like your lock on that side.
Great.
Yeah.
So the reason we're setting up the 1200 here is because we want to really motivate the direction of light. So since we have the windows coming in through here and our boxer is going to be right over here boxing, we're going to have a 6x6 diffusion, probably a half or maybe even a full depending on how we feel with it. But we're gonna go and we're gonna have the key light over there, motivated by the window lights and hitting our actor right here. So whenever you're lighting, you try to motivate as much with the natural light and to motivate where the light is coming from to make it more realistic. I do think that one thing that really saved us on set, because we were a relatively small crew, we couldn't have a lot of lights or we couldn't have a big setup because it would have taken too long to get all the shots that we needed for the day. So a light like the 1200, not having a ballast, having everything built into the light, made it super easy for us to move around. Also, a pro tip, if you want to have a big light like that, having it on roller stands, especially when you're shooting inside or in a big area, probably saved my gaffer's back. What we're going to do next is, you see how the light is only filling a certain section of that 6x6? Kyle's gonna move the diffusion a little bit closer to our model, really fill in that frame so we have a much larger and more diffused and nicer light. In cinema, like the bigger the light, the better, and the softer the light is. So what we're using the 6x6 is to really have a large light, so it's a nice, larger, softer light. Now, the biggest challenge was this was the nearest spot to the windows, and I knew that I wanted to shoot with the windows in the background to try to shoot on shadow side as much as possible. So that's really when that 1200 came in handy. There's one really nice attachment, which is the 3x intensifier that narrows the beam of the light, but also intensifies by 3x the output of the light. I think with that 3x attachment made it possible to have enough output when competing against sun. Now, the second lighting setup was in the actual boxing ring.
Whoa. We got a little numb, I think. Okay, good. Yo, that was like so close.
So I think if we move the 1.2 here, it'll be a little bit more sidey, and I think it's gonna be nicer. And what's the intensity on the light right now?
75%.
75, okay. Let's try to go to like 100%. We can move our backlight just to the, like that window where the negative is at, because I see up until like the window where the belts are.
Yeah.
So I think if we have it just on the corner there, then we can come and get a really nice backlight. And the sunlight's coming in like so perfect. So yes, I do see the frame, so we'll have to clear the frame out. And here, let's take a look. Like, Yassir, if you want to be like punching on screen a little bit, I think this is really nice, like side light, and then just a little bit of accented like backlight. It's nice, right? It looks freaking great. Yeah, we have the lava and like they're like super close to it, so that distortion is really nice. Honestly, like a light like this, like you really need a punchy light in order to compete with like sunlight coming outside, because if we had anything lower, we're almost at like max output with this 1.2. We're like limited to how much we can like, you know, light a space like this. And when you have sunlight coming in literally from every direction, we have windows all around the space, you really need to have like a punchy light in order to like compete with the sunlight. Because if not, all of these windows would be completely blown out. And the whole beauty of like black and white is like really controlling your contrast and your lighting. Yeah, pretty happy to have this light on set right now. For this setup, we ended up having the 1200 with the 3x intensifier, but because we were in the middle of the gym, we had a lot more space to work with when it came to positioning the light. If you find that your light is too sourcey or too bright, you're usually probably too close to your subject and you need to bring it further away. As most shots, we ended up having the backlight to really just kind of give a rim and separate the subjects from the background. One really pro tip that I learned as a cinematographer, you know, when you first start out, they often talk about 3-point lighting where you have your key light, you have your fill light, and you have your backlight. That's not necessarily bad, but it can make it for a very generic and kind of boring setup. Kind of the basic rule that everyone does. It's not always a negative thing. What I started to do a lot more is just 2-point lighting. So I have a key light and I have a backlight to really separate my subject from the background. I find by doing this, especially because I really enjoy low-key lighting setups, I find that the 2-point lighting system is a really, really nice way. The presentation of the bottle, is it like holding it like here? Because you have the writing, the Sportes, yeah, on the, yeah. So label towards camera?
So
you see it? Yeah, you see it really nicely. Yeah. Now, I am a huge fan of this setup. It was super easy. It was just the 1200 through the 6x6. Again, same thing, trying to make the light source a lot bigger so it's a lot softer. Kept the 3x intensifier, but we removed the honeycomb at that point. Then I had the backlight just coming through the rink and really separating the subject, especially creating a really nice hairline and kind of shoulder line here to separate them from the boxers and the mixed martial artists in the background. Then we had the ring lights turned on, and then the whole space was turned off. But that's really when the sun started to shine so perfectly in the background. It gave this like incredible depth to the image. Even just as a filmmaker, I really like this setup because there was something so interesting with the juxtaposition of something that is so static and so much movement in the background. I thought all of these shots were really, really unique. And once again, just a 2-point lighting setup with the added sun in the background made this setup incredible. Now, the last scene was the jump rope, the preparation, the workout scene. This is really when proper planning shows and goes a long way on your set day. We were ready, the sun was beaming in that perfect kind of way. It just made it for such a cinematic scene. Because we were mainly backlit against the windows, I really needed something with a lot of kick, a lot of punch, and I ended up using the 1200 as a fill light in this situation. What I like is more of like a cone-ish.
Yeah, basically make like a somewhat of a wrap.
Yeah. And then I was able to hide a backlight just along the wall to almost motivate the sunlight that was coming in through the window, but make the wraparound on their face a lot more gradual. So the backlight was kind of coming in from like, you know, shoulders side-ish, and then I had the key light. Having that, I feel, made it look a lot more natural and a lot more organic than if I would have just went silhouetted or just added simply that fill light. I find that at the end of the day, if you have the tools that allow you to get the shots that you want, there's not much more to say. Technology has advanced so much, and GVM is doing a really good job at pushing good products at a very affordable price. This, for me, as a cinematographer, filmmaker, is the exact light that I was missing in my kit for multiple situations where I'm trying to fight against the sunlight. Having this 1200 allowed me to make this project a reality, because otherwise the windows would have been completely blown out, or the shooting directions or the angles would have been completely different. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.